My name is Abby. I'm a wildlife womble.
My name is Pete Carson, and I used to be a community connector with Health and Happiness, a charity throughout Highland. There were 8 of us in the team, and one of the things that we wanted to try and do, working with people who needed a bit more support, one of the outcomes we wanted to work with was social inclusion, becoming involved in what was going on in the community. So I had a look around, and working with Caroline Cornfield, who runs a fantastic project down in Kingusie, the Caberfay Bookshop, we chatted about various things, about getting people out and about, fresh air and going somewhere as an adventure. And the obvious place for us was Kincraig Wildlife Park. It's in the area, it's open space, it's fresh air, there's lots to see, lots to do. So could we get involved at all doing anything in the wildlife park? So we got in touch with Jasper Hughes, the education officer at the park, and Jasper really grabbed it with 2 hands and said, right, let's talk about what we might get involved with. And it just gathered momentum, it gathered speed, it grew and grew and grew until we had a squad of people desperate to be members of the, well, we didn't know what to call ourselves at the start. We put it to the group, and Donald came up with the idea, Wildlife Wombles. So as you can tell from all the jackets, we've got Wildlife Womble jackets on now. And Jasper helped us to get into the park, to develop projects, to come up with ideas, guided us along the lines of where we're doing it right or where we're not. And we've been coming every Friday since, so we are now very firmly the Wildlife Wombles at Wildlife Park.
This is Donald, and Donald is a wildlife womble. So Donald, you came up with the name for the Wildlife Wombles, didn't you? Pretty good name as well. What do you enjoy about coming to the wildlife park on a Friday? What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy taking pictures or litter picking? Or do you enjoy the both? Both, is it? Do you enjoy both things at the wildlife park? Yeah.
So Donna, can you introduce us to this young lady, please?
This is Chloe, a very dear friend of mine, Chloe.
Chloe. And you're like the Wombles, Chloe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us what you like about going round the park and being with the Wombles.
Looking at animals.
The animals is the main thing.
Yep.
Have you got a favourite animal?
The wild cats and the polar bears.
Wildcats.
Ooh,
Great.
very
Lovely.
good.
The Wildlife Park was first set up in 1972. Back then we used to specialise in animals past, present in Scotland. But in 1986 it was taken over by RZSS, the Royal Zoological Society of Scotland. So they own Edinburgh Zoo and the Highland Wildlife Park. And then in 2007 we changed from animals past and present to animals from cold climates. So all the animals that you see within the park are adapted to cold climate environments, which fits in perfectly well within the Highlands of Scotland. They've done a really good job. They've also done wildlife surveys here in the park as well. So a complete pictorial assessment of the park throughout the whole year. So we're learning about what other animals are coming in, using the park. But they're also engaging with the public. People are seeing them. They're all labelled up with their Wildlife Womble vests, and they're doing an absolute cracking job in making sure that the place is nice and clean and tidy as well. Everybody's always happy whenever I come across them, and always greeted with a big smile and a huge hello. And yeah, everybody's thoroughly enjoying themselves.
People are very interested in what we do, and we're quite happy to interact with the public. Every week we do pick up litter in the children's play park, which tends to be one of the places where there's a lot of litter, and the children are always fascinated about what we're doing. And the Wombles are always fascinated by the play park, and nevertheless every week somebody goes on one of the pieces of equipment. Occasionally people ask us about the animals, and thanks to Jasper we know all about the animals. So people will say, is the polar bear pregnant? Is she going to be pregnant? Why is there only one wolverine? And we get lots of questions from the public that we can answer because we've been fully briefed. And obviously being in the park every week, you know when the new animals are being born, you know when new animals are coming in. And so it's really quite nice to tell the members of the public about the park and what's happening.
We leave those piles there because that's new stuff, but this is old stuff that we're just tidying up here.
People recognise that we're a team and therefore are quite happy to talk to us, and of course we're always happy to talk to the public.
You've done it the way you want to do it.
She says, whacking me with the board.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you don't want to injure me.
Watch out, just wants to see the fence.
But that is really cool.
But just a wee
Right.
bits to go up at the top, maybe.
And can you tell us your name, please?
I'm Donna. I work with the Wombles.
You're one of the Wildlife Wombles.
Yep.
What is it you enjoy most about being in the Wildlife Wombles, Donna?
I like helping with the litter picking and seeing the animals and taking the photos and seeing around the shop and making sure everything's safe for the animals.
And now, can you tell us your name, please?
Heather.
Heather. And you work with the Wildlife
Yes.
Wombles, Heather. What is it you enjoy most about coming to the Wombles?
Picking up rubbish and look at the animals and take some photographs.
You enjoy the whole thing?
I do love it.
And you look forward to Fridays?
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
The Highland Wildlife Park plays an important part in the community in general. We're one of the major employers in the area, which is obviously an important part of the community. And obviously the Wildlife Wombles are an important part of the community.
As we're going along, you'll see that there are these bamboo canes and there are little trees which have been planted by Ian. So we need to make sure that we go around them.
They've worked on projects with our education officer, Jasper Hughes. Come rain, hail or shine, they've been here every week faithfully. I mean, they've done litter pick, they've done signage cleaning, they've done some gardening work. And I think Jasper's actually had them building some, they've been building some like bug hotels. So they've been involved in various projects, you know, which has been really good for us and obviously very good for them. Visitors have been hugely attracted. Obviously their fluorescent vests, Wildlife Wombles, has had a great attraction. They've interacted greatly with visitors. Visitors are more than happy to speak to them.
Watch out, just wants to see the fence.
But that is really cool.
But just a wee bits to go up at the top, maybe.
The staff think of the Wombles as actually being part of the Highland Wildlife Park team, you know, which is really nice. And for me, that shows that the project is really working. I've seen a significant difference in the group since they've started to visit the park. I think obviously one, they've become a lot more familiar with the team that actually work here. But even, I mean, for example, I've seen Donald come to the park. Was very quiet, very withdrawn when he came initially. Now if you see Donald in the corridor, I mean, with open arms, you know, he opens his arm and he runs towards you to greet you. And is happy to talk to the public as well. They generally come in the morning, and I think while they have their brief of what they're going to do in the day, they sit around, they have a coffee or whatever first thing in the morning, and they're happy that they mix with other visitors in the cafe at that point in time. So it's really nice to see how they've actually progressed over the time they've been here. I would really like to see the project go forward and grow. And I've had various discussions with the leaders saying that, you know, I really hope that there's more companies in the area that can see the benefits, you know, that the Wombles can actually bring. So, I mean, from my perspective, certainly we want to continue working with them, and I'd like to see it get much wider.
So Jasper, tell me about the enrichment project.
Oh, the enrichment project was one of our best projects that we've done with the Wildlife Wombles. I set them a task of creating some paper mache balloons. So they were blowing up these huge balloons, covering them with paper mache, and then we were going to fill them with food, and then we gave them to the animals for them to play with. So this is both physical and mental stimulation for the animals, and it's part of keepering that we do here in the park. And this was a project that we got involved with the Wildlife Wombles, Cabernet, and also the local community as well.
Tell me, what made these enrichment balloons safe for the animals?
Well, we were making it with paper mache, so it was just flour and water mixed together, and then they then hardened off and they became very, very firm, very hard. We had about 3 or 4 layers, so they were structurally very strong. And then we just popped the balloon and then remove all the rubber from inside, and you're left with this beautiful dome that you can hang food in, you can put food in, and the animals will knock it around and the food will fall out, and it's just absolutely stimulating for the animals.
And I believe the animals were given these at Easter in the form of Easter eggs. I wasn't here that weekend, but I mean, how did it go?
Oh, it went really well because they were all painted up, they were all brightly colours, and they were put in with the animals, and they were getting their own Easter eggs for that time of year, and it was absolutely great. And we let other people know in the park as well, so people were able to see that the Wildlife Wombles were contributing to the health and happiness of the animals, not just the people as well.
And can you tell us your name?
My name is Abby. I am a wildlife womble.
Right, Abby, and can you tell us what is it you enjoy most about being a wildlife womble?
Picking up rubbish, litter picking, getting paper animals, taking photographs as well.
So the whole thing?
Yeah, the whole thing.
And can you tell us your name, please?
Name is James, a wildlife womble.
And something nice happened being a womble, James. What's happened since you started at the beginning with the wombles?
Well, I've enjoyed working on the photographic and the film project, but I was looking for some work as well, and they had some vacancies at the wildlife park and the cafe, so I applied for that, and I got taken on part-time.
Yes. So you're actually working at the wildlife park now?
Yes, in a part-time job.
Brilliant.
Which is good.
Super, James, thank you.
Got a job I was looking for.
Yeah, well done you.
I'm Carrie and I was a Wildlife Womble.
You were involved very early on, Carrie.
Yeah, I was.
And what did you enjoy about coming along with the Wombles?
It was really rewarding getting out and about with everybody from Cabernet and getting out and about at the wildlife park and that.
And from that point of view, you've kind of moved on a little bit from the Wombles.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that.
I've now got a full-time job with Richmond Fellowship.
And that's also helping in the sort of the caring for people?
Yeah. I started off at Cabernet and I seen the job vacancy cut with Richmond and applied and got it.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.